Hey everybody, welcome to My Physical World, and this is introduction to a new playlist. It's not going to take away anything that I do with my other playlists, whether it's Microsoft Flight Simulator or Physical Science, but I am starting a new playlist that is Star Trek themed. For those that are usually join here for Microsoft Flight Simulator, I think you'll still find this useful because especially if you're doing like aircraft and things like that. But Blender is Blender. For those that don't know Blender, Blender is free, open source 3D modeling software. There is a link in the description of this video for that product. So I work on Blender 3.1 because Asobo has not ironed out the exporter for Microsoft Flight Simulator for anything above 3.1. So 3.1 is stable in terms of the exporter. For those that are here for the Star Trek stuff, you won't really need to really deal with that, unless, of course, you want to put the Starship Enterprise in Flight Simulator, except you're going to be in the Earth's atmosphere. Anyway, today's introductory episode, we are going to construct the USS Enterprise from the original series. And I have brought up an image that I downloaded that has it's not engineering, construction plans, but it gives us all the relevant views of the starship in order to put it into Blender to work with. So what I'm going to do in this first video is we're going to set up this image in Blender so you can start your modeling. Alright, so let's take a look at the image, and really what I want to look at is down here where it says particulars. We are getting some rough estimates of the size of this bad boy. Okay, so what we want to look at is we have the particulars and we got the overall length, width, height, all that kind of stuff. However, I want to put something in there so I can start scaling this, setting up the views. And a very important that we're going to use for the actual measurement is we're going to concentrate on the secondary hull. And we have secondary hull overall length of 103.632 meters and a diameter of 34.138. Okay, now I am not 100% sure that the secondary hull includes the deflector dish itself. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to assume, and we know what happens when you assume, is I can use the scale. If I printed this out, I can use the scale and measure what they're getting. As a matter of fact, I can do that on the screen, so you won't see it, but let me double check something. Okay, so by doing some rough estimates, I have my scale here, and on the screen I just held my scale up to the graphic scale on the image in the lower right hand corner, and that being in the way that I'm zoomed in right now, that 20 meters equals to 7.5 centimeters on my ruler. And so I measured the I measured the secondary hull, and I measured actually different places, and from this bulkhead right here, right in back of the deflector shield itself, all the way back to the tip at the end of the hangar, I'm getting pretty close to that 103 meters. It's actually 108. So I'm not really sure if maybe it's this spot right here from this location, because this right here is the extension of the deflector shield. So I'm going to give that one more measurement because I measured from this bulkhead right here. So I'm going to measure from this point back to here and see what distance I get. So yeah, okay, so I measured from this bulkhead to first, and then I measured from here. It actually might even be right here. Because I believe that this goes at an angle here. So let me come up here to these other drawings. Okay, so we're gonna have to fudge a little bit, so to speak. So I panned up to another part of the ship and on the image. And it looks like from this point right here to the end or the platform for the hangar, that is pretty much close to the 103 meters. Okay, so this portion is not, and plus the dish itself is not included in that length. I don't believe that is right, but that's what we have to work with based on the scale of this drawing. All right, so this being the 20 meters, I measured that that 20 meters goes from right before it starts to curve back. All right, so that letting me know if I'm looking at dimensions that are on the actual drawing, okay, under the particulars, if the secondary hull overhaul length is 103.6 meters, all right, but the graphic scale on the drawing doesn't really line up with any, it doesn't look like it's this whole length. Okay, so I'm going to make an object for scaling that's going to be 103.632 meters, and I'm going to make it 34.138 meters wide. That way we have something to scale on. All right, so let's get into Blender. So I'm in Blender, and right off the bat I'm going to select everything. And I'm just going to delete the cube, the camera, and the light. Now I want to orient my view where X and Y goes right and left. X goes right and left, Y goes forward and backwards. So I'm going to go to top view, and then I'm going to slide that down like that. All right, so if I hit F, this is a front view. Okay, Y is coming toward us, forward and back. Z is up and down. X and Y is left and right. Now we want to create an object that is that 103.634. Is that right? 32. Let me double check here. We want the 103.632. All right, so I'm going to create an object. I'm going to Shift A. Let me turn on my keycast so you can see what I'm pushing. Sorry, I'll be coughing here and every once in a while. Just getting over something. All right, so let's do a Shift A to add a new object, and let's do a mesh, and let's just do a cube for now because we're only sizing the images. Okay, so I'm going to do a cube, and I'm going to come over here to item, and we are going to make it 103.632 meters long, and we are going to wide, we are going to make both the Y and the Z. That's the maximum diameter of the ship. Okay, that's the maximum diameter. Okay, so that's going to be at its widest point, which is right up there toward the front, about right here. Okay, and that is 34.138. all right, so let's make the Y 134. Did I say that right? Sorry. 34.138. 34.138 is that dimension. And let's make the Z the same, 34.138. Okay, notice that it takes up all of our screen. We're going to just kind of zoom out so we have a block. And I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to change our clipping to, because this, I think 1,000 meters would be all right. I think, yeah, 1,000 meters is just fine. All right, so we have our workable cube. All right, so I'm going to go to X-ray, so that box is translucent. I'm going to tilde F to go to the front. And now we're going to add in our reference image. So I'm going to Shift A, come down here to Image, Reference, and then I'm going to go where I have my prototype, and that's in my Enterprise folder. And this poster full, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to choose Align to View because I'm straight on. And I'm going to add that in. Now it's really small. Now we need to hit S to scale it. And what we want to do is scale it so that secondary hull is fits inside this box. So I'm going to take this image, GZ, and move that down. So we're close to the box. Now I'm going to zoom in again, and I'm going to GX, slide that over, see how we are in length. And remember that 103 is right to this point on the hull, according to measuring. Okay, so apparently they're not, either there's a mistake somewhere, or they're not counting the deflector shield. Okay, so I am going to scale some more, and so I'm going to hit S. Oops, I got to click the screen, hit S, and move that up. My origin of my image is down below, that's why it scales weird. And I'm going to hit G to move, and we need to scale that some more. So S, scale that. G, move it down. I think we're getting close, because this ring right here is actually round, so that helps. Okay, there's tapers, but this ring is actually, this right here is probably the longest, because it right here, right in the middle. Okay, so we're just going to do some adjustments. We're getting close, so I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to just scale it up just a little bit more. Hit G, bring that down. Maybe just even a tad more. S to scale. Drag it up. G to move. Make that bottom part over there. It's getting close. Now if this comes like that, okay, so I'm thinking that the largest ring is going to be right here because these taper down. I think I'm going to have to go even bigger than this because the length is short. So I'm going to scale that up some more, hit G, move that down, and I think we're pretty darn close. So according to geometry, the 103 would actually be where this, after this little curve here. All right, so it's just a little bit off, but I think we're going to be just fine. All right, now we have one image, and I'm going to call this image front. I mean, not front, but side L for the. Let's go port. Let's call this port side. Okay. Now we have our image to scale. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to copy that image. Shift D. So now I have another image. See it moving behind. So I'm going to hit escape so I don't move it. And we are going to call this, we can call it top. All right. Is that what I want to do? So if we take a look, I'm going to middle mouse button and move. So our ship sits like that. The image is going right down the middle of the ship. Okay. Now we want to switch over to top view, so tilde T. So now we're looking down on the ship. Okay, so there's the front. All right, just like that. So tilde T for the top view. And we are going to take, I'm going to turn off port side image. We're going to rename this 001 to top. Now with this image selected, I'm going to rotate with R, and we're going to rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees. So now we have our top right here. And I'm going to simply, since we don't need to move it left and right, we just need to move this up. Okay, so it's inside of this box. So I'm going to G, and we're moving it in the Y axis, and we're going to slide this up so the middle of our ship is inside that box, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and, well, let's do a save, and we're going to call this Enterprise. And I'm going to call it TOS because I'll be making other ones too. And then we're going to save. All right, so now we have the top and we have the port side. I don't need to do the starboard side because it's symmetrical. There might be some, what should I say, some minor differences from one side to the other. And you know, I'm gonna rotate this 180 because this doesn't really match my photos really well. I want to be consistent. All right, so with top, let's do a rotate X 180. Okay, so now it's flipped correctly so when we look, and now let's move that in the Y So the top is right here instead. That looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and lock that position by coming over here to Item. And for location, I'm going to lock that in so I don't inadvertently move it. Okay, so we have a top, we have a port, we need a bottom, and then we need a front and a back, right? All right, so we are going to Shift D and copy the top. So now we have a copy of the top right there, top 001. And we're going to call this bottom. And I am going to unlock its position because I need to move this to the bottom. All right. Now I want to change my view. So tilde B for bottom. Is that right? Let's go tilde top. Okay, tilde B for bottom. And I believe I need to drop it down. So GZ. Oops. Let's do this. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the top. Bottom. Let's turn the top off. I got to get myself oriented here. I'm in the top view right now. And if I zoom out like that, all right. Let's take top. Let's kind of hold off here. Let's go to top, turn top off, turn bottom off. All right. And let's take this image and move it up. So unlock it. All we're doing is moving it in the Z direction closer to our box. Okay, see how our box disappears? So I'm going to move that right down at the bottom of the box. All right, now I'm going to turn off top and I'm going to turn on bottom. All right, and we are going to move that in the Z, and we're going to, whoops, here. Let's try again. We're going to move, select it, move that Z, and we're going to move it up above our box. There we go. And then we're going to tilde B for the bottom view. And here is our bottom up here. So all we need to do is drag that down. Okay. So we are going to GY and slide that down here. Okay, so there's our bottom, and let's go ahead and lock its position. And we might select our port and go ahead and lock its position. And I think we already did that with it. Nope. Okay, so we have the top and we have the bottom. All right, see how those are constructing? Constructing, is that a good term? All right. So tilde T for the top. That I keep doing this so I get my orientation correct on my head. All right. So there's our box. So now what we need to do is, so we have a port side. We even have a starboard side if we wanted to. We have a top view and we have a bottom view. You'll look at the bottom from the bottom. All right, now we need a front and a back. So we're going to take the top. Actually, I'm going to turn the top off, turn the bottom off, and we are going to use the port side because it's right where we want it. All right, and what I'm going to do is Shift D to copy that. So now we have a copy of port, and I'm going to rename that to front. Okay. And I am going with front. I need to rotate it so we get a front view like when we're looking this way. All right. So I'm going to rotate that on the Z axis 90 degrees. Okay. And then I'm going to make my viewport it's the left view in Blender in this particular case. So tilde L for left, which is right there. All right, now I need to take my drawing and I need to move that in the Z direction. Whoops, escape here. Select our front and GZ. How come that's not, oh, I have it locked. Duh. Front, unlock our position. There we go. That's why we lock our position so we don't accidentally move it. GZ and move up until we get a front view. And I want the center of the deflector shield right here. I want this point right in the middle of that. Okay. So I'm going to GY to move it to the left. And let's try to get that center line right on there. And we can zoom in even further. So it looks like left and right I'm good. I just need to move Z down until that gets right in the middle. Bam. Just like that. So now we have our front view. We'll use this part of the image for the front. And I'm going to go ahead and lock that position of the front view. Alright, so let's take a copy. Let's make I want to move it away from the center. Alright, I want to move it away from the center so it doesn't interfere with anything. Alright, I'm going to move that all the way out to here. So we're going to GX and slide that over here. So we're kind of making a cube setup. Okay, so when you look at it, you got good images, right? Now you don't want to use that image for the back. Alright, so now we're going to go to tilde L. Let's go back to the front view. Now obviously you can't see the block behind it, but that's okay. I can set the transparency of the image, and I'll show you how to do that here pretty soon. Okay, now let's go tilde R, which is the back. So we flipped around. Now we want to take this image here. We need to make a copy of our front, so Shift D. So now we have another front. I'm going to make this, let's call this stern. I guess I could have called this, let's call this bow. There we go, bow view and stern view. Select the stern view. Oh, did I lock my bow? There, my bow's locked. Port side's locked, and top side is not locked, so let's lock the top. Port is locked, bow is locked. Let's go to stern. Okay, select the stern, and all we need to do is slide this one over this to the left, right? Correct? Alright, so G, Y, because that's the Y axis. Oh, I have everything on. Let me turn everything off. Sorry. So let's turn off all the views that we're not working with. Alright. Now let's move it G in the Y direction. Slide it over to the right. And we want to get that center line as close as we can. So I zoom in G, Y, holding down my shift so I can move it so slightly and get that center line lined up. And there we go. So my outside of my diameter is correct. Alright. So we're looking good so far. Now what we'll be able to do is trying to think how I want to do this. I might have to move my image up because this is a circle. The largest diameter is a circle. So I am going to, I got to make some adjustments, but I got to see which ones. I think it would be easier if I move the block. So I'm going to go to the cube and select that, and we are going to no, I don't want to do that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm going to GZ, so I'm going to have to do some moving of our images. There we go. Got the block. Alright. Got the block moved down. Now, I need to, this 3D cursor is at the world origins of 0, 0, 0. And I've moved my block off of 0, 0, 0. So I want to make this 3D cursor right in the center of this block. So I'm going to Shift S and move cursor to selected, and it readjusts that. Now I have to take my stern image, and I need you know, I might have to redo the stern. So yeah, let's redo the stern. Let's delete the stern. We're going to delete that image, and let's bring our front back up, our bow. Select our bow, and now I have to adjust that image. Alright, so I'm going to, with that bow selected, I'm going to GZ. Let's try this again. I keep forgetting to unlock it. There, now we have it unlocked. GZ, hold my shift, drop that down so it matches our cube. Let's zoom in to get it even fine-tuned. GZ, hold my shift. Okay. Alright, so that moves that right. Now, let's recopy our bow to the stern. Okay, so with the bow selected, I'm going to hit Shift D, escape so I don't move it. Rename this to stern. And then I'm going to go to the bow, lock that in position. Select my stern, which is over here now. And I'm going to turn off the bow. And we are going to GY and slide our stern over. And now I want to zoom in and get that centered. GY. Hold my shift for minute changes. And right there should be good. So the center line's lined up. Alright. Now the center line of this rear part of the hull is off center, which is okay, because that's what it does. But I also, how come that image, that looks, this image, this part of the image is actually not straight across. I thought it would be. Let's go to bow. Let's turn that bow on. See, that bow lines up. The bow lines up. So this image of the stern is actually not this. It's not straight across from this drawing. All right. So all I have to do is select the stern, G, Z, move it up and down, and let's bring that right up like that. Now they should be, now they're straight across from each other. Okay, and then let's lock in that position. So now we have top, bottom, bow, and stern. Alright, so if I turned them all on, we should have a whole bunch of images. See how that works? See this little clipping going on? If you go to view and turn on your clipping, let's make that 5,000. Then that increases your field of view in the viewport. Okay, so we have all these drawings. We have, do I have anything turned off? Oh, the stern and the bow are on top of each other. So I'm going to take the stern. Remember, we moved the bow to the front. So I'm going to take the stern image and move it to the back. So we kind of have a cube type setup. So I am going to select the stern, which I have, unlock it, and we are going to move it in the X to the back. So G, X, and just slide that back over here like this, like that, and then let's lock that in position now. Okay, so now we have our drawings that we're going to be going off of. Alright, now you could have brought this image, you could have created a single image of the top, bottom, bow, and stern, so you didn't have everything on each drawing, but I always find it easier to do it this way. But basically, this is how you set up images to use in your modeling. Now, if you want to change the opaqueness of your reference image, all right, so let's turn off everything except the port and our cube, obviously. All right, so there's our, this is going to be our port side and starboard side. All right, now you can change the opacity of the drawing in behind. So if you come down here to the object data properties and make sure that you have the image selected, notice that there's opacity. So check mark that and decrease that. Okay, so now the drawing is kind of translucent. Now I'm going to turn off the ghost image of the block, and so now our block is solid, but you can see through your drawing. Okay, plus it's not it doesn't interfere with a lot of stuff. All right, now we're not going to be using a block to create our ship. All right, this is just a scaling box. All right, so I'm going to finish this image. I'm going to finish this video now. I hope you guys subscribe. If you're a Microsoft Flight Simulator scenery designer, I hope you can learn some tips and tricks to make models for that. But if you're new to the channel, hopefully a Star Trek fan, and you want to continue watching this Enterprise build, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell for upcoming videos. Share it with your friends, your Star Trek colleagues or whatever. And I hope that you keep coming back. And also leave comments on what you would like to see in the Star Trek playlist. And I will try to accommodate you. Anyway, welcome to the Star Trek My Physical World's Star Trek playlist, and I hope you guys come back, and I will see you on the next video. See you guys later.